What's up, everyone? This is Kurt coming back to you for the Lionshare Poker Academy. Now, if you guys are unaware, we do have a section in the Discord where we are open to discussing different kind of hands that we may have played or that you're interested in. Had you seen them on TV or played them yourself, whatever, doesn't matter. If you want to talk about them, you can post them in the hand discussion thread in the Discord. So the first hand that was actually posted was by our buddy Ruthless, actually from, I think he said this was from his main event that he played. I would assume it was, but anyway, I have the analysis up on the side. I have all the hand assumptions. If you guys are not familiar with the hand, essentially what happened is I believe he ended up calling the cutoff with pocket sevens. I think he was 80 big blinds effective. Versus an early position open. He got squeezed by the button. I'm assuming early position folded, and he ended up defending with the sevens and ended up getting this 10-9-8 flop up here. And so I did run the sim yesterday, and I was about to post the results on in the discussion where the chat was, but I had too much to say about it. There's just a lot going on here. I think this is actually a really interesting spot that is going to have a few things that may end up blowing our minds, but I just realized that I would just be copying and pasting way too many screenshots and could go on forever. So I thought it might just be easier to make a video about it. Now I'm going to try to make things as simplified as I possibly can because there's a lot of things going on with a spot like this. So we're just going to get into it. Anyway, so I think the first thing that makes this spot very interesting is this is probably one of the few boards where out of position ends up having maybe either the same amount or slightly more equity than the in position raiser. And that really happens. It rarely happens that not only the person as the caller has equal or higher equity than the three better, but also the player that's out of position has as much equity as a three better does. So these are two very rare things. And when that happens, I tend to put in a donk leading range, and I can do a whole separate video of this. I'll just say overall, I am not using the donk lead as much as many people are incorporating it into their games, mainly because I think people are misusing it and not picking appropriate times where it's used. Mostly when people donk lead, it's when their actual hand improves. So I won't go into that too much, but I think the donk lead is misused quite a bit. Now, in situations where I think it is very appropriate are when we have these type of boards where it's very beneficial to the caller's range. Of course, in the three betters range, the majority of the strongest hands that player is going to have are more like aces, kings, and queens, ace, king, things of this nature. So usually really dry boards and ace and king high boards are very good for this player's range, and out of position is usually going to be at a pretty high equity disadvantage. In this case, there's just so much going on here. The caller can have so many different types of nuts. They can have pocket 10s, pocket 9s, pocket 8s. I guess 10s is a little thin in here, or isn't a full weight option, but 9s and 8s are certainly in here always. Queen Jack suited is in here always. 7-6 suited is in here always. The 10-9 suited, the 9-8 suited. So there's just a lot that out of position is going to have here. And at such a deep stack depth, I think the hand started at 80 bigs effective. The out of position player can really put a lot of pressure on essentially the top of in position range, as in like aces, kings, queens. Things like that are going to have a very hard time calling down on a board where there's just so much going on with just an overpair. So I think this is why we're allowed to put on some pressure here as the out of position caller. So that's why I implemented a donk leading range when I normally don't. So first off, I entered 4 different sizes to start with, just to see, for one, if donk leading sizes are used, and for 2, if they are used, what are the most frequent ones. And I used the 18, 33, 50, and 75% bet sizes, and the only 2 that were mainly used in the donk leading range were the 18% and the 33% sizes. They're essentially used the same here, so yeah, I think either or. It's not really a big deal. It's just interesting to find out what sizes PIO Solver actually prefers. Now, and the second, well, I guess before we really get into it, I want to show you guys that out of position has the very slight edge on the equity department. I mean, they're essentially equal. I mean, this out of position has barely over 50. So equities are essentially similar, and this is not very common, as I said, not only as the caller versus 3-bet, but as a player out of position. So this is something that will essentially tell us that we can probably be a little more aggressive in this spot as the out of position caller than we normally would, and that's why you see the donk lead being implemented at least half the time here. And you can even see that out of position's equity expected value is actually higher than in positions here. So this is really going to encourage some betting from out of position. So again, I rarely use the donk lead spot, but in situations where I think it's very specific and equities as the out of position caller are very similar to the impositions, I think we can definitely start implementing that. And again, I know I'm probably rambling on this a little bit, and we'll do separate videos on donk leading ranges and how we want to spot equity advantages on different board types. So for now, we'll just get into it. I think as things went, we decided to check, and this is the imposition squeezing range. You can see impositions only betting about half the time here. And again, I did run the four sizes, 18, 33, 50, and 75% here. And the only two sizes used by imposition when they are betting are the 18 and the 33% bet sizes. So we just reran the sim so we could get a little more accurate answer. And what you can see, I believe Ruthless said, let's go back to it. He's also checking back a lot of random 3-bets like ace 10, king 10. You can see right here, ace 10 in here very slightly, the ace 10 off, and then the ace jack and ace 10 suited are mostly just calling and not squeezing in the spot. But you do see when ace 10 does get in there, it's certainly not betting at full weight. It's actually checking more than half the time here, which is pretty interesting. Same with king 10 here. So we can't just blindly be betting our 10 highs on this board. Like, yes, it's nice to have protection, but we also need to balance our checking range by having some stronger hands in there. And I mean, there's just a 10 might be okay now, but there's just so many turn cards where it's not going to be in very good shape. So checking back is certainly an option as well with these 10 high hands. And then you can also see that aces and kings are checking at a higher frequency, and that's essentially because they need less protection than, say, like queens and jacks do. That's why you can see queens and jacks betting at a more full weight than the kings and the aces. You can even see queen jack in here is slow playing at a low frequency. It's actually slow playing with the diamond combos a little bit more, which I guess is usually when I'm doing these analyses, I see the ones that push more equity, let's say the queen jack with the diamonds, are actually betting more. This may just be because of the bloated pot in the 3-bet pot here, and just really being able to stay uncapped to having some diamonds in their checking range. And certainly when you have the nuts here, that might be a decent option to throw in every now and again. As for diamond combos, these are mixing quite a bit as well. You can see the weaker ace-x diamond combos are probably betting a little bit more, and then the ones with a little more showdown maybe betting a bit more. You can see ace-queen actually gets in there a little bit more because it has a gut shot straight to go with it. So you can kind of do whatever in the spot, it seems like, both with your draws and your value hands. So, but the main thing is we can't be betting at a full weight. And that's mainly because out of position is doing so well on this board. So even our stronger hands, like pocket 10s, are checking sometimes just so they have some stronger hands in their check back range, and out of position can't just blast off and really print because our checking range is too weak. So anyway, I think as things went, we just decided to go check. Turn was the 8 of clubs, I think. And again, I ran all four sizes here. And we have the 18, 33, 50, and 75%. Essentially, we are using the 18, 33, and 50 at a pretty similar weight. The big size is the only one that doesn't get used here. I think that's mainly because we can't just start blasting off here. Like, yes, we're going to have a lot of strong hands, but as we were talking about from the imposition 3-betters range, he's going to have to check some strong hands there too. So even though checking here a lot may cap an opponent's range, in this specific situation where equities are so similar, more stronger hands are going to be checked. So we can't just end up blasting off. So when we do end up betting, we choose one of the smaller sizes, anywhere between half pot and 18% seem to be fine. Okay, so our assumptions, with our specific hand, we had 2 sevens. Now, just going to look at what Ruthless was saying real quickly about this. So my question here is, do we bet or check? If we bet, what size? Curious what PIO Solver would say. And then I believe what I said to it is I would mostly check. Just go back to where it is here. This hand can easily check call turn, needs very little protection, and also has plenty of equity going to the river if villain checks. Bigger and smaller sizes probably used on the turn. So I was a little off on that. I thought we would probably split between like the 33% block size and like a 75% size. So I was definitely wrong on the bigger size. The biggest size we can use here is half pot. And I think that's because we see that in position is checking some stronger hands here. So we can't just end up blasting off. So it looks like if we are going to bet, it's mostly going to be for the smaller size, just so we don't blow pots. And there's definitely some hands, like this one specifically, that can bet for value/protection, but doesn't necessarily want to put in a lot of money. So I think this is why the smaller sizes are more attractive here. I think I also said, so I said, that said, betting small and checking this specific hand with pocket sevens probably have similar EVs, which we can see. I'm trying to see if you guys can really see it. So between the 18 and 33% sizes, for most of the pocket sevens combos, let's say we're just going to look at the first one right here. We can see that the 1/3 size and the 18% size both have essentially the same EVs here. And then you can see checking has essentially the same EV as well. These are just hundreds of decimals that we're off right here. So these are essentially the same play. The only play here that apparently isn't good is the all-in size here. You can see this has a massively lower equity here, or an EV here. So essentially we can do no wrong between checking and betting here. As I said, I think checking is good because our hand plays pretty cleanly on the turn as a check call. We can essentially check call any turn size here, and we would certainly be betting bluffs. And we also, if we're not, we have any jack, 7, 6 are all going to be good for us. Villain can also like give up on certain rivers where our hand is going to show down well. So for those reasons, I think this hand check calls pretty cleanly. And that being said, I think betting small also has some benefits here, because we can certainly bet our hand for a little bit of protection here versus like let's say any king queen that would have ended up squeezing here. Even if we can fold out like the random ace-5, that might be okay, because we opponent could turn that into a bluff potentially, and our hand may get a little uncomfortable, so we could discourage our opponents from bluffing. So yeah, I don't know. You can essentially, again, you can do anything here. And when we see the solver mixing here pretty pure and also showing similar EVs, you can really do no wrong here between betting small and checking. So we're just going to check, and I want to see the response to imposition. You can see after imposition checks back, they're not using big sizes either. They're splitting mainly between the third pot and the half pot sizes here. You can see aces and kings are betting a little bit more now. Queens and jacks are betting pure if they check back on the turn. And then, I think probably, let's check out the diamond combos. So most of the diamond combos are betting, except for ace-king. It's kind of nice to have the strongest showdown flush draws you have here and kind of slow play those as your diamond. I'm trying to say, okay, so you want to slow play the higher ones. Again, I don't want to ramble here too much about this because I don't want to get into the specifics here. But we are doing a lot of mixing here is the bottom line. And that's mainly because equities are so similar that not each side can just be pouring in money a lot just because they have like a decent hand in this spot and they want to get value/protection. This is a really interesting board that I feel like I even want to say a little bit more about this. And this is just all my overall reaction to seeing this at first. The only spots that I looked at were the flop spots, and then I figured we get into some turn stuff and see what we could actually find out from this. And essentially, this is another one of those spots where nobody really likes this answer, but it's a spot where you can essentially do whatever, you know what I mean? And you can still be right. And that's something we're going to see in poker quite a bit. Different options will hold similar EVs, and I think that's fine. There's not always just one definite answer that we need to take. And the biggest thing that we want to look from here is that if we can use both options, then what are the benefits by using both? And if you can find benefits between, let's say, checking or betting in this spot, then both options are probably fine and are used at some frequency. As you can see, specifically with the pocket sevens combos, we talked about reasons that we can both check for to protect the strength of our range and also not bloat a pot with a hand that probably doesn't want to get raised here, but then at the same time also doesn't mind betting for protection to possibly fold out some hands that have decent equity versus us, and definitely don't mind just taking it down on the turn with our pocket sevens here and having our opponent fold. So yeah, so a very interesting spot here. Probably could even get into it a little more, but again, there's just a lot of things in this specific hand that I need to break down essentially in an entire video. One of those being the donk leading ranges, 3-betting ranges, and sizes, and what to do on boards like this. I mean, there's just so much that we have to talk about, as you can hear from the rambling that ended up going on for a while. I actually think this is a very interesting hand, though, and definitely a good one to kick off the hand discussion section. These are the things that really keep me going and keep me interested in poker. A lot of spots are going to be pretty simplified, but these are the ones I really like digging into. And I think we can really, if we study these spots hard, we can really separate the quality of our game against people who really aren't putting in the time to do this. So yeah, if you guys have any more questions about this, just let me know. We can dive into these more in the chat as well. So yeah, we'll just cut it right here. Interesting spot. If you guys have any more spots you want to talk about in the hands discussion section, just let us know, and we'll be happy to get back to them. So for now, this is Kurt signing off for the Lionshare Poker Academy. Thanks, guys.